Hello, children. Today we'll be discussing a poem about written by a famous poet, Robert Louis Frost. The poem is titled "The Road Not Taken." Robert Frost was an American poet who was highly regarded for his realistic depiction of the rural life and the use of American colloquial speech. He was honored pretty frequently during his lifetime, receiving 4 Pulitzer Prizes for poetry. The most famous of his poems include "Fire and Ice", "Mending Walls", "Stopping by the Woods on a Snowy Evening", etc. The first stanza of the poem, "The Road Not Taken", two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both, and be one traveller. Long I stood, and looked down as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. The poet is standing at a fork in the road where he's contemplating the choices he needs to make. He's feeling bad that because of being one traveler, he cannot travel on both the roads. These roads are a metaphorical representation of the choices we are often confronted with in life, the choices that we take. We try to make a decision based on as far as we can foresee where the choice is going to take us. However, when the choice or the road bends in the undergrowth, when it takes a path of its own, when it goes to a point where we cannot foresee, we need to make a decision. That is exactly what the poet is talking about here. Then took the other just as fair, and perhaps having the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear, though as for that, the passing there had warned them really about the same. So the poet took a long time contemplating and deciding which road or which choice he needs to take. He took the other road. He feels just as fair as he may have taken the first road. However, he felt that maybe the second road has a better claim because it seemed grassy and it wanted to be worn out. It indicates that probably this was an off-beaten track that very few people travel upon, and that is what made it exciting for the poet. Though he contradicts himself in the very next line when he says that when he passed across that path he realized it was almost equally worn out as the other one would have been, and both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. The next morning he realized both the roads seemed equally unused because the leaves had fallen, refreshing them and making them unused or untrodden again. This represents that every choice that you take will bring about a new contemplation in you every next day. So the poet is trying to reassure himself that in case something goes wrong, he can always come back and take the first road again. But he contradicts himself again by saying that he realizes how one choice or one decision or one road would lead to another, and he doesn't feel he may ever get a chance to come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less travelled by, and that has made all the difference. He decides or he realizes as he's going to go along the path of his life, many years down the line, he'll be telling the future generations that he was confronted with two choices. He chose the option where lesser people had traveled by. He chose an off-beaten track, and that definitely made all the difference in his life. The sigh can be a sigh of contentment, or it may be presumed as a sigh of regret. It is an open-ended poem where I leave the interpretation to you, my dear students. Whether the difference in his life has been a positive one, where he's happy of choosing an off-beaten track, or whether he's regretful of his decision. The poem talks solely about choices. Which way leads to which way and how or which choice to take when you are confronted by one or the other choice in life. Regarding the side that has been mentioned, it may be seen as an expression of regret or the poet's satisfaction, but there is a significance in the difference between what he just said of the two roads and what he is going to say in the future. Whichever way he chooses to go, or whichever way we choose to go in our life, we are definitely sure to miss something on the other path, which would leave us wondering whether the other path would have been better. The rhyme scheme of the poem chosen is ABAAB because the last word of the stanza enables you to determine the rhyme scheme of your poem. The poet is in a reflective mood. Also, as he goes on further, he is nostalgic about the path he may have wanted to take but was unable to. Also, the repetition of the letter or the word I throughout the poem is emphasizing that he himself is responsible for all his decisions. What's given in front of you often helps us to interpret or read a poem. How to get what does the poet mean? We need to look at the words, the meanings, the etymology, and the connotation. We can take a look of the poet, whether it's happy, it's somber, it's the emotion doesn't change at all. The sound, if there are any patterns or any rhymes. The perspective in which we may place the poem, which often can be connected to the poet's life or the background of the history during the time the poem was written. The poetic techniques used can also help us in reading the poem and the context in which the poem may be placed. Thank you, Shir.